Hey everyone, good morning and good afternoon. Thank you so much, guys, for joining in today and welcome to the Edureka. And as a part of today's session, we'll be looking into the Tableau charts and graphs for beginners. So, this session is for intended for the beginners in Tableau. So, this session will be a hands on session where I'll be showing you as how you can download this Tableau software. And once you download, I'll show you how you can get the data, how to set up the data source, and once you set up the data source, how you can actually start creating the visualization as per your requirement. So as I mentioned, this will be a hands-on session, so it will be good if you are in front of system, if you follow the instruction that I'll be providing as we progress in the learning journey today, so that you can download in your system, you can install and get a feel as how this Tableau works, and also why actually enterprises prefer to use this Tableau. Okay, so the agenda of this today's session goes like this. So we'll start with introduction to Tableau, and we'll be looking at some of the important features of Tableau, which actually makes Tableau great. And we'll have a quick look into what exactly it would mean by generated fields in Tableau, and what are the use cases of generated field. And we'll look into a hands-on session where how we can create the visualization and perform the data analysis using Tableau. All right, guys. So let's get started. So starting with Tableau. So this Tableau is actually called as a visual analytics software. And this is actually transforming the way that we use the data, and it is going to help us to solve the problem. Now, if you ask me why it will help us to solve the problem, well, visualization is one of the key for the analysis. So if I create a visualization, it would actually convey more than the 1,000 words can convey with just a simple picture. And we humans, as like we are more towards the visualization. And whenever we see something, we'll be able to grasp most of the information than by simply looking into the text data. And Tableau helps us to create great visualization. And by enabling everyone to create great visualization, it's going to empower the people as well as the organization so that they can make the most of their business data. So once they are aware and once they have the power to make the most of their business data, which will in turn help the employees to be at their best and make the best for the company. So that's the reason why Tableau is very famous and why Tableau is used in every scenario. And this Tableau is one of the market leading choice, guys. I mean, they have close to 15% of this market share coming to this BI platform itself. And the best part is this Tableau, or the reason why this is used, because their mission is to help people see as well as understand their data. So their main focus is the customer, and because of that reason, they have given the best design for the software whenever we are using, and they have various functionalities which are intended towards the end user. So the end user can be a data analyst, it can be a data scientist, he can be a teacher, student, or he can be a high level management. So anyone can be a user of this Tableau, and they can get the most of this Tableau. They can get the most of their business data that they are working with. And not only that, guys, so coming to this Tableau, so I can say it's much more flexible. So I can set up the data source from various places. It's secure, and it's one of the most powerful analytics software. So let's get started. Okay, now this introduction to Tableau is part of the Edureka's Tableau certification training course. And this is the structured learning path which is present at Edureka training course of Tableau certification training. Now, the reason this is very important for you in your learning journey, because structured learning approach helps you to tackle a new learning journey in a much more efficient manner, make sure that you'll be able to complete your learning journey and get the most of your learning journey. So in this structured learning path at Edureka, you'll begin your learning journey with data preparation using Tableau, and then which is followed by, in the second module, how you can connect the data source with Tableau. And as you move on, in the module 3, you'll be learning to perform the basic visual analysis, that is basic visual analytics on a given data set. And as you progress in your learning journey in module 4, you'll see how you can perform calculations in Tableau and how you can perform the advanced visual analytics using Tableau. And in module 6, you'll be learning about LOD expressions, and which is followed by geographic visualizations in Tableau. And as you move towards the end sessions, you'll be learning to create the advanced charts, dashboards, and stories. And by the end of this last module, so you will be given a project which ensures that you'll be an industry ready. So the reason this has been shown because no matter where you're starting your learning journey, whether you're taking your self-paced learning approach with the Edureka videos at YouTube or with the Edureka itself, we wanted you to succeed in your learning journey. So make sure that you take the screenshot so that you can get the most of your learning journey. So let's get started with introduction to Tableau. Now, as I mentioned, this is a analytics software. So Tableau is actually a company and it produces a software, and this software is also called as Tableau, guys. And this software focuses on business intelligence. And this actually helps world's largest organization unleash the power of their most valuable asset, that is their data as well as people. The reason because it's going to empower everyone in their organization by helping them to analyze data in a much more efficient manner. So the main intention of this Tableau is to allow the customers or the end users to spend more time on data analysis rather than data wrangling, like how to get the data, how can I get the data from that source to this source, how can I start analyzing. So they want to simplify all those process. They want to give the power of data analysis to the end users. So this is one of the main reason why Tableau is one of the leading BI software, that is the business intelligence software. Now talking about this architecture, well, so this can connect with various data sources. I can load the data from the static data source. It could be a CSV file, Excel file, or I can connect it to my database, or I can connect it to my SAP system. I can get the data from there and I can create the visualization, or I can connect with any other cloud as well and make sure that we establish the connection from their data source and we can create the visualization. Now coming to that, so yeah, we can extract the data from various sources and we can also work with the live data and create the live visualization. And it has a great security protocols that is present, which ensures that the data that we are working will be highly secure. And we have a lot of functionalities which will help us to manage the user and manage the data in a much more efficient manner. Now, once we have done with the visualization, like we can create the presentation, and once we are done with the visualization, we can publish it as a workbook where it can be used by other Tableau users, or we can create it as a report and make sure that it is added in the like PPT Excel sheet so that we can report it for the future purpose, for so that it can be used for the other purpose. And we can also convey to the other people. For example, you're working in a product company and you're about to sell, or like you are into selling business. Now you want to display as, okay, what is the current sales that's going on at each and every time in the live feed. So you can just make sure that you will have a web and mobile user interface, and in that mobile user interface you'll enable this, whatever the presentation that you are going to make, it will be visible to anyone who is having the access to that mobile app or the web app. So by giving that, you'll be giving the real-time power to the end user so they can look into the current data. So the higher management can get to know what is the current trend that's going on in today, like what's a exact product that is being sold. So this is going to make sure that everyone is having the updated data, and not only just the data, they'll also have the insight as what we are able to convey. So in this way, Tableau is going to empower the users. Now talking about the features of Tableau. So Tableau has a rich set of features, guys. So one of the main important feature I can say is amazing data visualization. So you'll be seeing in your hands-on session as well that this Tableau is going to how easy it is to create this visualization, guys. And the reason because whatever the innovation that Tableau is coming up, it's all customer focused innovation. So they're actually committed to the customer success, and because of this, they are actually doing a lot of investments when it comes to innovation. And latest innovation that I can say is like we can actually connect the Python source code with the Tableau, and we can create it as a calculated field. And then using that calculated field in there, I can actually mention my machine learning model as per my requirement, and I can ensure that in that predictive like with the data visualization, which will help me to perform the data analysis. On top of it, I can also perform the predictive analytics as well, which will help me to predict the future data. So that's the level of innovation this Tableau brings to the table. And here, this has one of the like another one reason is like it has most intuitive user experience. And here it provides the quality customer support. So the quality customer support, as I mentioned, they are very much customer driven business, and that's the reason. So they have a good quality customer support as well. And please remember, you'll get the support only if you subscribe to their professional plan. Okay, so just to let you know, Tableau is a paid software, but there is also a free version that is available that's called as Tableau Public with some limitation. So Tableau Public helps you to create the visualization, but with some restrictions, like you cannot connect to the external data sources like database. You can just load the data from the CSV file or an Excel file or any other local file. You cannot publish your worksheet over there. And apart from that, like I think there are some limited number of rows that you can load. So these are some of the limitations that will be placed on the free version of Tableau. But once you subscribe to the paid version at the enterprise level, you'll get the best customer support. And as I mentioned, it's very intuitive. It will be easy for implementing any of the required dashboard as per the user's preference. And it has a very great data source integration. So I can connect to various databases. It can be my database that is present in my data center, or it could be in cloud. And it also has the mobile support. So I can publish my Tableau reports on the mobile friendly devices as well. I mean, mobile friendly format as well. And last but not the least, the another one of the great feature of Tableau is a rich online community. Now, this is one of the key factor, guys. The reason because you cannot depend everything and wait for the customer care. I mean, you'll already have this customer support, but having the online community makes your job much simpler. So this would actually make sure that or give us the confidence that we are not the only users. There are other users are also using this platform, and having so many users, so we'll get the answers for most frequently faced issues. So that's the benefit of having this online community. So these are some of the great features for this Tableau software. Now, let's talk about this generated fields in Tableau. Now, before I go over there, let's do one thing. So I'll show you the steps as how you can download the Tableau so that it can be downloaded and installed by the time we come to the hands-on part. So in order to download it, so I'll recommend you to search for Tableau download public. Okay, so just download the public version. That should be more than enough to get started in your learning journey. So here, please mention your email address and click the button which says download the app. So once you click on download the app, you'll be redirected to the screen. There you'll have the option to download it as per your system requirement. So it supports both Windows and Mac OS. Okay, so just download it and install it. And once the installation is complete, just leave it as it is. Once we come to the hands-on session, I'll show you how you can create the visualization. Okay, now moving on. Yes, now let's look at the generated fields in Tableau. So when we talk about this generated fields, so generated fields are created and it can be visible in my data plane in addition to the fields which are present in the data set. Okay, so I'll be showing you in the hands-on session as what exactly is a data pane and where we are going to see. So this is like an additional field that I'm creating over here from my end. Okay, so using this, like I can create a generated fields with the for the categorical variable. It could be measure names, or it could be the measure values as well, or it could be for the count related data as well. So just to give you an idea, whenever we are working with the data, okay, so whenever we are working with the data, most of the time, so we'll be working with continuous data and a categorical data. Categorical data is a type of data where I can have a value which can be belonging to one of the classes. An example can be is country. So country is an example of categorical variable. And for the continuous variable, I can give the example as age or salary. So here, in case of categorical variable, you can select a value from a finite set of numbers, okay, or a finite set of options. But in case of continuous value, you have to select the value from infinite set of numbers. So that is called as a continuous value. So categorical value in Tableau, it's called as measure names or the measures, and names or the measure names. And in case of continuous value, we call it as measure values. And we also have number of records. So number of records is like how many number of entries that we have, and latitude and longitude data. So I can make use of these generated fields for any of these data types. Now let's see how we can build the charts in Tableau. So before we go ahead and build it in our hands-on session, let's see what are the types of charts that we can create in Tableau and how it can actually help us in doing the analysis and what kind of chart is suited for which application. So starting with bar chart. So this is a common chart that I'll be using to compare the data across different categories. So an example is this. Okay, so I have some list of values. It could be furniture. I have the three different types of customers, maybe furniture, office supplies, and technology. Maybe these are the three class categories that I have. Now I want to find as what is the profit that I have from each category. So in order to display the same, so I can create a bar chart, and by simply looking at this bar chart, you can just get an idea that, hey, for this technology category, I'm seeing more profit compared to the furniture. So this is one of the great thing about the visualization, and we use this bar chart, which will help us to compare the data across different categories. And we have a line chart, and this line chart helps us to compare the data over different time periods. Just to give you an example as how does the sale has happened, like how did the sale grow from the 2016 to 2018, and we can clearly see that there's an upward trend in sales. And another kind of chart that we can create is Pareto chart, and we use it Pareto chart, and this actually consists of both bar chart as well as line graph. Okay, and we have another kind of plot that's called as bullet plot or bullet chart, and we actually use it to show the performance of measure. So let's say we have some goal of 300,000, and we'll use this bar chart, this bullet chart, to show it as, okay, where exactly have we reached. So this is the scenario, guys. Okay, and the another kind of plot that we have is actually called as a text table. So this is actually an interesting one, and we'll be covering in our hands-on session. This would actually show the exact value of measure across different dimension. Okay, so here it says, let's say we have various subcategories, and for all these subcategories, if I want to check as what is the total amount of profit or the loss, I can just create it as a text table like this. And we have a type of plot that's called as heat map, and we use it to visualize the data in the format of size as well as color coded as well. Okay, so this is about the heat map. And the next kind of plot that we have is called as waterfall chart. So this waterfall chart can be used to visualize the cumulative effect of a measure over a dimension. Okay, and another plot is called as Gantt chart, and we use it to identify the time taken for different categories. And the common and the most awareness, whichever that you are aware, it's the pie chart. So we use it to visualize for various categorical data. And we have next plot that's called as scatter plot. Now, scatter plot is a kind of plot which will help us to show the trend or a relationship between different measures. And we normally use this scatter plot to understand the relationship between two continuous values or two continuous variable. Okay. And the other types of plot that I can say is we have something that's called as area chart, which can represent any measure over a different period of time. And we have dual axis chart, which we can use it to visualize two different measures in two different chart types. And the interesting one can be is a bubble chart, where I'll be using it to create a scatter plot, like you can think of them as a combination of scatter plot, but along with that, controlling the size of my individual data points with reference to another continuous value. So that's the scenario where we'll be using the bubble chart. And we have another plot that's called as histogram chart, and we use this histogram chart in order to show the distribution of numerical data and its frequency. And this is actually called as a univariate plot. That means to create a plot, I'll be making use of a single column of data set. Okay, so this is about an introduction to various types of plot. So one thing that you have to remember is, while dealing with the data, I'll be dealing with either categorical data or a continuous data. Okay, so whenever we load the data into the Tableau, by default, the Tableau is going to take an intelligent decision by looking into the data composition, and it will automatically say, okay, hey, this would belong to categorical data and this would belong to continuous data. So it will take the intelligent decision, and it will assign the data types automatically. But if you are not satisfied, because we cannot just directly dependent on the Tableau, and we still have the control, we can convert the data from categorical into a value, and vice versa. So depending on our application, we can also do it as per our requirement. I hope you have now installed the Tableau Public in your local system. Now, once the installation is complete, so you'll have to start by clicking on the icon that says Tableau Public. Okay, so I'll show you from my other screen. Give me a second. I'll share my other screen so that I can show you how the icon would look like. So I'm using the Windows operating system and I have already installed Tableau Public. So I'll go to the start and search for Tableau. So I have both professional and the public version. So I'll be launching the public version, which I have installed recently. So 202021.3. I think the latest one is, if you have downloaded today, 2021.4. So you just launch the latest version which you have installed today by clicking on that icon. And once you do that, this is going to start up your Tableau, and the screen that would look like this is going to be launched. Okay, so I'll show you how it would look like. So you'll get a screen that would look like this. So here it is asking us to connect. Okay, so I think this is the one which I have, maybe because I have opened earlier. So here it says connect to a file, and it is asking me to connect to any file, which can be an Excel format, text file, JSON file, Microsoft Access, spatial data, statistical data, or I can also connect it to a OData server as well. Okay, and there are some connectors which are available. Now this is the starting screen, guys. Okay, so this is the starting screen that you are going to get once you start your Tableau Public. Now let's do one thing. Let's start by connecting to our data. So to connect to our data, we'll just have to say file, open, and I have a CSV file that's called as Airbnb New York City 2019 data. So I'll just double click on this file to load this data source. In parallel, I'll do one thing. I'll upload this data as well. I'll create a new repository for today's session, I would say. Okay, so I have uploaded. Just click on that link and I think, yeah, once you click on that link, you'll be redirected to a code that would look like this. Click on the code, download zip, and you can download the CSV in your local system as well. Okay, now once I connected the data, see, I've just connected the data, and once I connected the data, here I'm able to see the entries that are present in the data that we have just connected. And if you observe over here, on top of my every column, there's a symbol that looks like hash, and there is ABC. Now this hash refers to this column contains number, and ABC, it means this column actually contains the string. Okay, and if I click on hash, it says this column contains whole number. So in this way, Tableau has actually identified, okay, what kind of data that my each column is holding. And this is in latitude. So if I click over here, see, so it has been detected as a geographic role of altitude over here. So it intelligently analyzes when we just connect the data. I haven't done anything. I just connected the data and it is able to tell me all this information. Now, the another best part about this Tableau is before I start working, I can just mention any changes as well. So here it says name. Okay, let's assume this you want to modify this name. Okay, or let's take up this example of host ID. Currently, the host ID is host space ID. Now, if I want to replace it with host underscore ID, I can just modify the column name. Now, please remember, when I modify the column name, it's not going to affect my original data. It will not be affected to the original data. It will only be affected in the way that it will be visible for me in my Tableau. Okay, so in this way, we can load the data. I mean, we can specify the data source. Now, once I specify the data source, here we have an option to start working. Now here, if you see, I'm in data source tab, and next to this, there is something that's called as sheet 1, and it is prompting me to go to this worksheet. Now worksheet is a place where we will be creating a lot of visualization and where we will be doing all the analysis of the data. So I'll now click this button so that it will redirect me to my worksheet. Okay, so this is the worksheet. On the left hand side, we have the data pane. So this is called as a data pane. Okay, and if you see over here, so we have ABC. So this has actually divided my entire data into two parts. I mean, overall data into two parts, one as measures and another as values. Okay, so this measures refers to discrete or categorical data, and this has been automatically identified by my Tableau. And here we have the values. These values represents the real values that we have in the data set. So by default, this has done it so that we don't have to worry about categorizing the data. Now, if we do not want to treat it as a categorical variable, then we can manually convert it to continuous value. But by default, it will actually automatically create measure names and measure values categories. Okay, so this is the data plane, and here in my data plane, this is the data source that we are currently using. We have connected to New York City Airbnb data set. Now this is sheet that you're seeing. In this sheet, you would actually create the visualization. Now whenever I want to create any plot, okay, so whenever I drop anything over here for the rows over here, so let's do one thing. If I want to create any visualization, I'm going to select the number of reviews. Okay, so so if I select the number of reviews, see, this has automatically added for the columns for me. It says it has I've just added over here, and it says the total number of reviews that I have in this entire data set is 11,38,005. So this is the total number of entries that we have in this data set. Okay, now let's assume, okay, I want to find as how many number of reviews that I have on the basis of the category of room type. Okay, so room type is a categorical value, And if here in this categorical value, I have a shared room type, I have a private room type, and so on. Now I want to display the number of reviews on the basis of each categorical value of room type. So in that scenario, I just have to see, drag and drop over here. See, this has created a simple visualization for me. So this is a visualization. I was able to just drag so that I can make it bigger. And it says for the entire home and apartment, these are the number of reviews that I have. And for the private room, these are the number of reviews that I have. And for the shared room, these are the number of reviews that I have. Okay. So in this way, we can simply go ahead and start creating the plot. Now it's all looking fine, but it would be better if I can display a text. See, if I can display a text on top of it. So if I want to do it, let's assume I want to print the number of reviews that I have on each of this plot. Then I can simply drag this number of reviews on top of my labels. So this is going to add the label for my plot. See, that's how it is. Okay. Now, if I do not want to do anything, or if I don't like anything, I just have to drag that particular thing and I should keep it outside, just drag it outside, it will be removed. So that's how intuitive it is to work with Tableau, guys. So I just have to specify the data source and start creating the plot. And let's do one thing. I'm going to create one more sheet. Let's assume we are done with the activity and we want to create one more sheet. I can say new worksheet and I can go ahead and do it. Let's assume this time I'm going to check as we'll do one thing. We'll get the number of reviews over here. Okay, so here I'll remove this. Okay, so let's do one thing. Since we have just seen about as how we can add the data over here, I'm going to say I'm going to pick up a categorical data. I'll pick the categorical data as neighborhood. So once I drop my categorical data, so these are the various neighborhood that we have in this data set. Now I'm interested in creating the text plot. Okay, so text table I'm interested to create. So I have specified my categorical data of neighborhood over here. Now I'm interested in finding as how many number of reviews that I have per neighborhood. So I want to add each and every text for this column as how many number of reviews that I have. Then I can just drag this number of reviews and drop it on top of this column. See, it says the total number of reviews that we have is 1803. Now, let's assume instead of sum for your given data, maybe you want to look into the average. You want to understand as what's the average number of views that you have. So instead of sum, I have just right clicked. Instead of measure of sum, we'll select as average. So this is going to display the average. Okay. Now, on top of this values that I have on this, so here this table says what is the average number of reviews per neighborhood. Now I want to categorize it again on the basis of room type. Let's go ahead and do that. I can simply drop it for the column over here. See, this has created a visual representation analysis of the data by simply just categorizing like this. Okay, so this is how easy it is to analyze the data. And let's say you want to do some filtering. Maybe you're interested in selecting the neighborhood which is of your requirement. So, or we'll select the neighborhood group. I'm not sure what exactly is there. So I can just drag and drop over here for the filters. And here I can select what is the neighborhood that I want to select. So I'll say it as Manhattan. And once I apply, so this is going to update the data in a real time, guys. See, So this has selected the neighborhood group belonging to the selected one. And on this selected data, if I want to do some more selection, I can just right click and I can just make sure that I can exclude or I can include from here as well. So that's how intuitive it is to work with Tableau. And when you want to create the visualization, so here in the Tableau, so we have a button that's called as Show Me. Now, once I press this button, so it is automatically checking my data and it is suggesting me as what kind of data, what kind of plot that I can use. Okay, so for the demonstration purpose, I'm going to select stacked bar chart. So it says once I just click it, see, this has automatically created the visualization as per the data that we have. See, that's how easy it is to work with the Tableau, guys. So so this has the information. Now let's do one thing. We have the average number of reviews over here. And let's do one thing. I'm going to add a label of availability as a label. Let's see if it works. Okay. So, yeah. So it says how many number of what is the available availability is actually a continuous value in this scenario. It says as like what's the overall sum of the availability that we have and so on. So likewise, we can perform the visualization as per the data that we are working with, guys. I want you to go ahead and try out in your system using the steps that I've shown just now. And let me know, guys, let me know whether you're able to replicate what I've done. So I've just selected here, I've just selected the data source over here. So, and after that, I've created a simple bar chart by dragging the number of reviews along the rows and room type along the columns. And here I've just created some random plot by making use of the show me. Okay, so with this, we come to the end of today's session, guys. So I hope you learned something new today. So thank you so much, guys, for joining in. All the best, guys.